I'm going to discuss Quick Sew K253. It's a cute little pattern for slippers, and it's just the cutest thing. I mean, those are adorable, and they're not particularly difficult to make, but the sizing is crazy on them. I wear a size 7.5, and so by their measurements, I cut a medium. I hope I can show you my foot without having to turn myself into a pretzel. This is a size small, and you can see that I hope you can see, there's like at least an inch in the back of it, and I've taken that in some. And when you take it in, it starts to affect the way it sits on your foot. And so if you decide to make that pattern, be aware the pattern pieces come together nicely. This one I did this is the view that has the little toe decoration, and I used double-sided fusible web interfacing, web to fuse this piece of fabric to the top fabric in order to be able to do the stitching for the applique sort of thing there, so I didn't get any shifting or anything. And I think it turned out really cute. The inside of it, you bind it with some bias binding that you make with the pattern. And the first ones, the mediums, were outrageous. They were too big for my husband. Now my husband doesn't have huge feet for a man, but they're just crazy. So go into it forewarned. Just go down 1 or 2 sizes, and maybe just use regular fabric instead of wasting your skid proofer on the first pair, because now either to pick these apart to reuse this, or just say bye-bye to that. And I don't have a whole lot of this stuff, and I don't know where to find it. I could probably find it on eBay, maybe even at Joann's. I could ask. Anyway, pretty cute, simple pattern. Maybe not for an absolute beginner, but it's not very difficult. So just like between beginner and intermediate, you could easily sew this. So Quick Sew gets a downvote on this pattern. This pattern gets a D because the fitting is so far off. So there. Now, what is Agatha wearing now? She's gotten all fancy. It's a I think these are called butterfly jackets. What I did was super simple. This is a 2-yard piece of fabric from Walmart. It's really beautiful, I think, and I think it was either $1 or $2 a yard, so it was very inexpensive. And I bought it I bought it just because it was pretty, but I didn't know what I was going to do with it, and I tried a few different things, and nothing was really, I just couldn't figure out how to use the print. And I knew I was going to make it for my oldest daughter because it's kind of her style. So all I did for this is I did a rolled edge hem all the way. Well, okay, I need to step back. I laid it out flat and found the absolute center, and I pressed that a little bit, which didn't work out that well because it's polyester, and polyester just doesn't like to take a crease. Well, now it did, because I didn't iron it after it has a crease in the back. So find the absolute center, and then I cut straight up the front. So I folded it in half, and I folded it in half again, found the absolute center, and then I opened that back up and I cut down the center front, and then I took a roll of paper towel. There it is. You see where I got the ink on it, and I laid that at the top edge, just a little bit going into the back and a little going into the front. Drew that circle, trimmed that out, and then I just trimmed the top neck so it wasn't quite as acute of a turn there. And then I put a rolled edge hem all the way around it. I need to rework this part. It didn't like grabbing on to the fabric, and I got some pull away at the corners. So I tried doing this rounded corner, but I don't like the way it looks, and it stretched the fabric a little on the bias. So I'm going to go just take a little bit off and fix that. Anyway, all you do after that is find the place where you would prefer it to be, and that's just a little bit of, look, here's my cute mustard color tights. And I just seamed, it's open at the very edge, seamed in about 8 inches there. And this is actually a basting stitch because I wasn't sure where I wanted it to be, and if I had to take it back out, I wanted it to be as big as possible. So I did the biggest stitch my machine would do, stitch those both things, and voila, it's finished. And it's so wonderfully colorful that it's going to go with a lot of different things, and she can wear that to work. So those are two things. The third thing I'm going to include in this video, if I can find them, I've been doing some various projects that mostly are a huge time suck, but they're kind of fun. So about a very long time ago, probably almost, maybe 15 years ago, it's just a pathetic story, my brother-in-law brought me this, which I have finally taken apart, and it looks like this if it's on. And then this little tab comes down in the back, you pull it tight, and then if you're a bald fellow working in the yard, you don't get sun on your head and it soaks up your sweat and so forth. And he asked me if I could make him something like that. And I'm not sure why I put it off for so long. It's one of my standard jokes that took me 5 years and 5 minutes to do. But finally this weekend I thought I would tear that apart, and I had to take it almost all the way apart. I thought I would be able to just lay the piece of paper on there, but I couldn't. And so these are my pattern pieces. So I just have some art paper. I think I got it at IKEA, and I just laid the art paper over these pieces and just went around that with a pencil and then cut it out. It took me 3 tries to get the fit exactly right, because for some reason it was silly of me. I added a seam allowance, but I didn't need to add a seam allowance because this was at the exact piece. Nothing was, I didn't need to add that in. So I made, this was number 1, and it doesn't fit right. It's too big, and it's floppy in the forehead. And then this was prototype number 3, and it fits really well in that fun fabric. And this was made out of just tiny scraps. So what I'm saying here, I'm not going to try to duplicate this pattern for you or anything, but oftentimes when it's something like that, it's simpler than you think to just lay it out, cut out the pattern, and make it. And on the third one, I did cut the front on the bias because I wanted it to have a little bit of stretch in there. So these are the kinds of things that I've been spending my sewing time on, a lot of my sewing time on. And then I think I will hold off on I have some options. That's not the right word exactly. I have Sphynx Grand Kittens. So those are hairless cats. And we got them, my daughter got them probably, I think, in late February or March of 19, and then that was the little boy, and then she got the little girl maybe in June or early July. They're adorable, and I am going to show them to you. They're almost grown by now, but they're so cute. I've been making sweaters for them, and that is pretty easy to figure out. And there might be people that own Sphinxies that want to make little coats for them on the cheap. So I will show you their little coats and the kittens pretty soon on my next video. So thank you for watching. Happy sewing. See you soon.